Okay, we're going to start today the dinam of it's called Tachanun, or Nefilas Sapayim as it's called. Now, we learned already in the order of davening, it's a ladder that goes from the low places, like it says by Yaakov Avinu's dream, Sulam Mutzav Arza, Reish Magia Shemaima, and the Malachim were going up and down. So it says in Medrash and Chassidus especially that Sulam is the level of going up to connect. What does a ladder do? A ladder connects the top, the roof, and the floor, or the first floor and the second floor. Basically, it connects top and bottom. That's the purpose of a ladder. What's the meaning of davening? Tefillah comes from the word connection, binding. Like Naphtali, the root of Naphtali is tefillah, which means binding and connection. So the way davening works, and that's why it says the malachim are going up and down, because you start from the lower part of davening, before Baruch Shamar, then you have Baruch Shamar until Yishtabach until Shmon Esrei, then you have Shmon Esrei. So you have the different rungs in the ladder going up. Now the highest part is actually the Shmon Esrei, the Amidah. That's where you stand, feet together, you're not supposed to move. But then, according to Kabbalah, Nefilas Apayim, when you fall on your face, by Tachanun as we call it, that's even a higher level than Shmon Esrei. In other words, Nefilas Apayim is the ultimate climax of the Shmon Esrei. And then afterwards you start going downwards. Ashrei v'alotzion, the Yom, Enkalakenu, Aleinu. So Tachanun is really a very holy tefillah. In fact, the Gemara tells a story. The Gemara says you're not allowed to talk between finishing Shmon Esrei of your own and Tachanun. And the Gemara tells a story that two people got into an argument, and one of the wives was trying to protect her husband from the brother-in-law who was praying that he should die. Anyway, she would always come into the minyan when her husband was davening, and she would make him talk between the Shmon Esrei and the Tachanun, so that his tefillah shouldn't be answered. One day, whatever it was, she thought they were in say Tachanun, she came late, whatever. And she said, "Get up! You killed my husband already." So it says even in Shchunach, you're not allowed to talk. Sichas Chulin between. Why? Because Nefilas Apayim is actually a connection to. It's a part of the Shmon Esrei. It's the ultimate level of bittul. Not only standing together, feet together without motioning anywhere. It's actually even a higher level of bowing. What?
That's why on Yom Kippur we sang together.
What's that? What?
When you finish davening Shmon Esrei, you're not supposed to say anything until the chazan reaches.
In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to talk from the minute the chazan begins davening until the end of the last kaddish to the end of davening. That's what the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. With a cherem, if you intentionally talk, the Alter Rebbe says, "I'm excommunicating you." People drive on Shabbos too. So. People do a lot of things they shouldn't be doing. So
if you're davening,
if they're looking out the Rebbe's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, he gives the
if you're davening your tefillas and you finish Shmon Esrei, you should not say a word.
You should say Tachanun right away. Yes. Even in Shul you shouldn't talk. Shul is even worse to talk, because you're supposed to be concentrating on the davening. Anyway, now some people. Okay, I have no problem. Some people, and this is our Nusach according to Kabbalah, that like Nusach Ashkenaz doesn't have a Shamnu and all that before Tachanun. They just have Nefilas Apayim. But based on the Zayar, that before you say Tachanun, you're supposed to do actually confession, or we say Shamnu Bagadnu, which actually is the whole Aleph base. Just like Al-Chet, if you notice, and Yom Kippur, every Al-Chet is a double Aleph base, right? Every Al-Chet is two. The same thing, Ashabnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu, Deif is the whole Aleph base. So it says in Sfarim, in Halacha also, that when you say Ashamnu, you should have in mind all sins that begin with an Aleph. But Bagadnu, all sins that begin with a Beis and a Gimel and a Dalet, you should have in mind all the various different sins that begin with that letter. So our minig is, it's the bottom line is that we say Tachanun, and first we have a Shamnu V'Gadnu. Now, because Tachanun is so important, I know a lot of people will do anything. This day no Tachanun, this day no Tachanun. It's interesting, by the Polish Ungarische Chassidim, not the Chabad Chassidim, the other Chassidim, they have a minhag, it's brought down in halacha, that on the yahrzeit of a tzaddik, they don't say Tachanun, because it's a holy day. It's called Hilula. Hilula is a wedding. So they have a minhag that on the day of a tzaddik's yahrzeit, they don't say Tachanun. So it's interesting, there's a calendar they have, it's a bunch of calendars, they go through every day of the year, they find out tzaddikim that died, and basically they rarely say Tachanun in those places. Some people, or they killed the tzaddik to make him a tzaddik, yeah. But, or they don't say Tachanun at Mincha, the Chassidic world. We know by us that the Rebbe brings down that they asked the previous Rebbe about saying Tachanun on the yahrzeit of a tzaddik. So the previous Rebbe said, the Rebbe brings it down, there's no better time to say Tachanun than on the yahrzeit of a tzaddik. That's why today was Alter Rebbe's yahrzeit. Chabad, we say Tachanun on Alter Rebbe's yahrzeit. So some people, this day, no Tachanun. The Rebbe was adamantly against it. Number one, we see that from the Rebbe's actions. Whenever the Elam, for whatever, didn't want to say Tachanun, the Rebbe turned around and said, like, what is this? Because Tachanun is a very holy, it's a very holy thing. So therefore, when you're supposed to say Tachanun, you're supposed to say Tachanun.
I heard some Chassidim don't say it near sunset, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By Mincha, they don't say it. They daven Mincha late. Because they daven Mincha late, they don't say Tachanun. Our custom is, even if in Shulchan Aruch it says, if you're davening Mincha late, you don't say Tachanun. But our minhag is, when the Rebbe did this, our minhag is that we do say Tachanun at Mincha, even if you're davening a little late. So we do say Tachanun at Mincha. Now, when you're wearing tefillin, now let's say you're a right-handed person. So you have what's called Nefilas Sapayim, right? You fall on your hand. So in the morning, if you're a right-handed person, so you fall in Nefilas Sapayim, you're supposed to fall on your left hand. Like by Mincha, when we're not wearing tefillin, a right-handed person, we fall on your left hand. By Shachris, because you have tefillin on the left hand, out of respect to the tefillin, you fall on your right hand. But a left-handed person, let's say, who wears tefillin on his right hand, so he falls in the field of Sapayim Shachris and Mincha on the left hand.
Oh, he doesn't do a Mincha on the right?
No. Okay. What?
So if you're davening in a shul but they don't say Tachanun, you're in a history but they don't, what do? You say Tachanun yourself?
Your Rebbe has a letter about that. You say Tachanun yourself, but it shouldn't cause a machlekes. So you make it as least despicable. Huh? You do it as discreetly as possible. You do it as discreetly as possible that people shouldn't realize. Okay, now Nefilas Sapayim, I'm talking about the Nefilas Sapayim, which is L'Dovid Alecha Hashem Nafshi Yasa, which is what we say. Some people say V'yemer Dovid Al God, this different nuschois. So you're supposed to say Tachanun sitting. You're not supposed to be saying Tachanun standing. If you can, then you can say Tachanun standing also. And then you say, after Tachanun, you say V'anachnu Le'nei Manasa. So the Shalah Kaddish, the Magen Avram brings down the Shalah, even though the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it down, which is interesting, but the Magen Avram brings down the Shalah that when do you stand up? You're sitting for Tachanun. Okay, then you say, when do you stand up? So the Shalah Kaddish writes, when you say, V'anachnu Le'nei Manasa, that's when you stand up. When you say the words Manasa is when you stand up. The Rebbe didn't always do that. The Rebbe sometimes stood up by Kad, whatever. But officially, it's not that official Chabad minhag, but the Magen Avram brings down from the Shlah Kodesh that you stand up when you say Manase. What? No, he gets a Vanachlinei. Why should he be different than anybody else? I mean, if that's when you get up, that's when you get up. It's when you're chazan or not. If it's V'urachim, you get up when you finish, then you say get up and say V'urachim. Now, Nefilas Apayim, that you fall on your hand, is only said in a place where there's a Sefer Torah. If there's a Sefer Torah, that's what it says in Halacha, Makom sheyesh b'Sefer Sefer Torah. If there's no Sefer Torah, even though there's other Svarim, you don't fall on your face, you just sit down and you just say the parak of Tillim. But the Kseis HaShulchan brings down that a minig Yerushalayim, Kseis HaShulchan the Dinam of Tachanun, he brings down that the minig Yerushalayim was that when there's a minyan, they did Nefilas Apayim even if there wasn't a Sefer Torah. But generally, say you're davening at home and there's no Sefer Torah, so then for sure you don't do Nefilas Apayim. You, after you say Hashem Nebagan, the whole thing or whatever, then you sit down and you say the parak of Tillim and the Get Vanachla and the Manasa. But you don't actually do Nefilas Apayim. What? He brings it down. I mean, is there an official Chabad custom? No, it isn't. A Chabad custom is not what people think Chabad is. As the Rebbe said this countless times, that a minhag Chabad is what it says in Sefer Minhagim, or the Yom Yom, or the Rebbe brings down. What people say Chabad's custom is not to eat this and not to eat that, and to do this and to do that, or to talk during davening, or to come late, it's not a Chabad minhag. Chabad minhag is what the Rebbe writes is a Chabad minhag. Just because Chabad people do something doesn't classify it as Chabad minhag. No, I'm saying a Chabad minhag is what the Rebbe told us to do. Whether in the letters of the Rebbe, what the Rebbe says clearly, Yom Yom. So is it a minhag Chabad? No, it doesn't say it's a minhag Chabad. But the Kseis HaShulchan, who was the Lubavitch Rav in Yerushalayim, said that the minhag Yerushalayim was even if there's no Sefer Torah, but there was a minyan, you get up.
And the connection to Sefer Torah?
What?
Connection to Sefer Torah?
I don't know. Now, if somebody is davening in a mourner's house, okay, then you don't say Tachanun in the house of a mourner. Even Mincha don't. You don't. Even when you come home afterwards, you still don't say Tachanun, even though you're leaving it out in the mourner's house. Or also, Lamashal, if there's a bris milah in a shul that day, here's a very interesting halacha. In halacha it says, if there's a milah in the Beis HaKnesses, you don't say Tachanun. That means even if the bris is happening 12 o'clock, okay? That morning, mincha, after a bris, you do say Tachanun, the Rebbe says. But the shachris, if there's a bris in the shul, even though the father is not there, the sandik is not there, the moil is not there, you don't say Tachanun. If you're in a minyan and there's a father of a baby that has having a bris that day, or the sandik who's holding the baby, or the moil, you don't say Tachanun. So a lot of shows where moil davens has a lot of bris, let's say every day, so they also don't say Tachanun a lot. During shachris, by mincha you say after a bris, unless the Rebbe says your mom is davening next to the baby. What? Because in Oval it has to do, they learn that from a pasuk, but in Oval is not simcha, but whatever.
He's not allowed to ask,
No, in Oval you don't say Shila Sholem, but Moshe, let's say an Oval comes to Shul. Sometimes they don't have a minyan in the house during Shiva, so they come to Shul, so the minyan says Tachanun, the Oval doesn't. But the minyan is only drawn after the Oval, if it's in the place where they're sitting Shiva. But if an Oval comes to Shul, so then he doesn't say because he's in mourning, but it's similar to Tish B'Av, you don't say Tachanun also, because eventually it's going to be, the pasuk says it's going to turn to Evlei LaSimcha, it's going to turn the mourning to Simcha, so Tish B'Av we also don't say Tachanun.
But if you're going to daven at the Aver, and you say Korbanot in the morning in the house, you do say the Tachanun there or?
I'll give you another example. What happens if you know there's going to be a chosin in shul, or in 1 second, there's a chosin in shul, yeah, but you're saying Karbanis in shul and the chosin's there. Do you say Tachanun or not?
No.
Kseis HaShulchan writes you do say Tachanun. We don't pass like that. The Rav Zalman and others say that we don't say Tachanun. If the chosin's in shul, you don't say Tachanun. But in Kseis HaShulchan he brings down, he says, The chassan takes care of Tachanun of the minyan, but what you're saying privately before is not minyan, that's you, so...
It actually says the whole